clerk is informed that she did receive a letter from someone who wants to have his requested, so she will read, since it's input time was written to and sent to the office. Madam Clerk? Can you also identify who it was?
City Council President, members of the City Council, my name is C.J. Ferry, and I reside at 300 Buffington Street and am a property owner and Fall River taxpayer. Over the past couple of years, the city, with the consent of the City Council, has increased the city budget and the spending of the authoritarian government on the 6th floor. The resulting taxes and fees are bankrupting our property owners and is resulting in higher and higher rents, which increase homelessness. When this administration gets a no from the City Council or any other body, they continue to press with representing the same requests in hopes that you will give in. Before you tonight is a request to place on the ballot a Proposition 2.5 override to be presented to the voters. This is unacceptable, and the fact that the City Council President would allow items such as this Proposition 2.5 override be presented again is unacceptable and shows a lack of fortitude, or as it is known in the real world, no backbone. The City Council President should recall that he was the lead in not supporting a debt exclusion or Proposition 2.5 override, and the Council denied this request before. Any claims that the school will not be built or it is for the children are false, as the school is already under construction and will be built regardless of how the city pays for it. The taxpayers have lost faith in the council and already feel overtaxed because of the excessive spending of the administration. The Fall River taxpayer still does not know how much they're paying for the debt exclusion, as it still does not appear on our tax bills. Where is the transparency? Before the City Council or the administration starts to look at more taxes to feed its excessive spending, a good hard look at the number of positions and pay increases that have been given by the administration. We saw in the budget hearings that the administration hires people for positions not in ordinance, and when a city councilor tried to eliminate that line item, that councilor was guilted into leaving the item in places as they would not receive a paycheck. The fact that the illegal hiring was going to no longer receive a paycheck from the city is the fault of the authoritarian administration. How many people were hired with ARPA funds and are now being put into the budget, which the city cannot afford? I would suggest that you review the minutes of the Fall River Retirement Board, where the CFO for the city said that the city cannot afford its retirement contributions, and the city is asking for concessions from collective bargaining units. No concessions have been requested. Fall River can no longer afford excess taxation, and threats to public safety need to stop. If the administration desires to cut public safety, that is his choice, but remember, you are not holding him accountable. I ask that you not consider the request for a Prop 2.5 override and table it or deny it outright. I know that there are at least 3 bobbleheads that will vote for it because it's proposed by the administration. It is obvious that they have forgotten who they represent, the people. I will remind you what Joseph Camara said when it came before the council before. We built all those new schools without a debt exclusion until Durfee. It is time to take control of the taxes and not allow the increase by an apparent authoritarian leader. Respectfully, C.J. Ferry.
Thank you. I stand by what I said. We did build all the schools without a debt exclusion.
I have one question, please.
Council C4, Council Kilby.
I don't know, maybe this is a question for another time for Corporation Counsel or Assistant Corporation Counsel. I don't want him to come down now. But we've always had citizens input, and we had individuals show up. And then that changed because of COVID. So I understand in terms of some people who maybe can't physically come, but we really don't know. We have a name, but and an address and a letter, but we really have no verification who it came from.
Right, you could have wrote that letter, put his name to it.
Yeah,
Anyone
I
can.
could put Charlie Chaplin there.
Yeah. It's a good
So
point.
it's just something to be discussed,
I think-
especially when things are inflammatorily said.
I agree.
And it's like sending an email or passing a note in high school, and you're not here to say
your
it.
point,
It's
Counselor,
easy.
I agree
It's just
with you.
easy to ridicule someone and not be here.
I think there was a
It
time in
just
the
doesn't make
past,
sense.
former Corporation Counsel Macy made a judgment that letters formally written were to be addressed by the
During
council.
COVID.
I'm not sure. Was it
Well,
during
that's my
COVID?
point. I don't want to, but it's a question for another day.
I wasn't here during COVID. I was
It's
absent
just-
those 2 years.
Okay, I yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Motion to adjourn finance.
Council C1, Council Kadim?
Yeah, so, I mean, if we're gonna ask the question to the Corporation Council, I think there's an ADA standpoint from that, I believe, right?
I
through the
believe
clerk.
it's true.
So if anybody has any type of handicap, they have the authority to submit the letter, so, I mean, I don't think we sit there and, you know, ask for doctor's notes in terms of
Right.
somebody's disability, so I think the assumption would be that there probably may be a handicap, but that's just
Right,
my
and this
assumption, so,
individual probably fits that
with that, I
criteria.
yield.